Hello, fourth graders. We are moving right along in chapter 3. So if you'll go ahead and get your social studies handbook, and we are going to be focused on page 26 to start off with in your workbook. So if I open up my handbook here, you can see that I've cut this out. So if you'll go ahead and cut this out and put it in your handbook. We talked earlier in the week that the British Treasury had been depleted through the French and Indian War. So the British decided they were going to impose taxes on the colonies. And the first act that they imposed was the Sugar Act of 1764. This was a law that tried to stop the smuggling of sugar and molasses to the colonies. And to put it mildly, this made the colonists extremely angry. And the law, the act, was soon repealed because of the colonial complaints. Well, that didn't stop the British Parliament and the British government because they needed money to build that treasury back up. So the second act, or the tax that they instituted on the colonists, was the Stamp Act. The Stamp Act required colonists to buy a government stamp for almost every paper document they use. So this included newspapers, legal documents, and even playing cards. The Stamp Act of 1765 really made the colonists mad. Now, I personally don't think the colonists would have really had a problem paying, but I think the biggest issue was that the colonists was that they didn't have a say in the British Parliament. So they were given all these laws and taxes, but yet they had no say. So the colonists who were not represented in the British Parliament, they thought the taxes were unfair. They did not like the way Parliament, an entire ocean away, was making laws and creating rules and things that they had to do. So the colonists came up with a famous phrase that's called no taxation without representation, which basically just said we're not going to pay taxes if we don't have representation in the British Parliament. Now, these are just two of many taxes that are coming their way. The next thing I would like for you to do is to go ahead and let's go to page 27. I'll turn that here. And on page 27, if you want to go ahead and get out and cut this out, these are words to know. If you'll notice, I have labeled all of the definitions over here with a letter, and the act and the words will match up. So the Stamp Act, if you move to F, it was the law that required colonists to pay stamps on paper and goods. And if you will just go ahead and label yours, if you need to pause this video to do that, please do so.